no longer live on this video because after kind of having an angering day, I figured a Q&A with all of my followers and potentially new followers would actually make me feel a lot better. So if you folks have any questions you want to shoot at me, whether it's about websites or whatever, please do me a solid and start asking questions in the comments so I can read them live, because again, that will just reset my brain and make me feel a lot better. And for those of you not watching this live, you're watching this after I've already hit the, end video button. Just want to say thank you for watching, because I am going to talk about HubPages and websites and how I got into this whole thing and writing. So again, if you're watching this live, shoot me some comments, shoot me some questions especially, and that's going to make me feel tons better. So I was not planning on doing this video at all. I don't know how many of you might have seen my previous videos about this subject, or seen my posts, or follow me on Facebook, or on any of my other socials like Blue Sky. But back in November, HubPages, who I've been writing for since 2011, actually just passed my anniversary. I started in January of 2011. Go figure. 2021, I should say. Excuse me. That tells you how upset I am. 2021. Anyway, HubPages, who I've been writing for since 2021, pardon me, they notified me back in November, after my birthday, that the entire HubPages website was shutting down. And if you go to their forums on hubpages.com, it's a war zone. It is all of my predecessors and fellow authors and writers having all of the problems with this, because we were not told very much. What we were told in November, and we have all screenshot the email, and they were dumb enough to put it up on their forums themselves, is that the website would be going away somewhere between February and March. Completely. Offline. Deleted. Gone forever. Bye-byes. Dead for good. So we were told we had just a handful of days where we could publish our last articles for the site, and then we wouldn't be able to publish any more articles on HubPages. And then they pulled the rug out from under us and cut that off on November 19th. Because I tried to upload one final article, because I was planning on having a goodbye and thank you message to HubPages, because I, at the time, really did like them, and you're going to hear in the tone of my voice that changes. So I wanted to do like a professional goodbye letter to them, and they cut me off. So I was like, great. All right. So that meant I had 184 articles to migrate. And if anybody from HubPages is watching, and I doubt that, but in case they are, my heart goes out to you, because some of you had a fantastic number more than 184. So I tried looking at other blogging sites, looked at Medium. I didn't really like their structure. I don't like how they price gouge readers. I tried looking at Substack, and I don't know what Substack is, and Substack doesn't know what it is. I have an account there, but they don't seem to know what they want to be. So, I really like working with people who have direction and a clue. So my Substack at the moment is just kind of there for decoration. I can log into it. I can say hi to it. I've done nothing with it. There was another website I looked at. They got bought out by somebody. There was another site I looked at. They got bought out. There was another site bought out. I am tired of this story. Literally every company is buying each other out. It's just like watching a bunch of hyenas eat each other, I guess, if they run out of food. And by that I mean Lion King hyenas, not real ones. So, I just had a big moment of screw this, and I decided I was going to go back and do the old-fashioned thing. Build my own website, put all my stuff there by myself, remonetize that as I learn how to. Now, for years, I have been putting up new websites via Weebly. I know they got bought out by Squarespace. I know Square and Weebly are kind of existing at the moment. I know in the future I might have to migrate again, and that's not going to be fun at all. So I am looking at options for that too. I might just teach myself how to make a server at this point because I have had so many headaches from dealing with website companies for years. And now that everybody's a little AI slap happy, I'm just kind of fed up with people. But for right now, I enjoy Weebly. I've always had fun on Weebly. So I should put the link to my blog in the video description, shouldn't I? I just remembered that. That is the type of day I am having. Okay. Oh, hey, Mabook. What was even the point for HubPages to shut down? I will gladly answer that one. What is the point? Why has nobody asked for this? Why do these companies do this? The companies are so whack. You are so right on that. Let me answer that question. So, I didn't realize it at the time because nobody told me. But when I initially got with HubPages in 2021, they had just been bought out by the Arena platform. And now that has been bought out by Maven. Not the wrestler that everybody loves on YouTube. By the way, check out his stuff. But a company called Maven. And the powers that be have decided that they don't want HubPages. And the main reason why they don't want to keep this thing alive is because of Google Ads. Now, for years, HubPages existed because they had Google Ads on the page. And I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that Google Ads chooses, but Google Ads paid them handsomely. Well, in the last year or so, and I don't understand the reason why, Google decided not to play nice with them anymore. All of our articles we started to fight for with Google. I noticed that when I Google my name and HubPages, I can find most of my articles, but not all of them. And then we used to be able to be featured on Google News if we had articles that were timely. Google News no longer features us. None of us. And they started like playing games with the whole algorithm thing with HubPages. And then we found out that there were a lot of pages that are fly-by-nights, meaning they exist for a couple of weeks and then they're deleted. They had paid Google for ad space on Google searches, and they were stealing our content, putting it up for a couple of weeks, making their money, and then deleting it before all of us got mad. I have had about 10 DMCAs filed just to get my Build Lily article down by itself. That's not even counting my other articles. My Build Lily article and one of my Sailor Moon articles kept getting stolen. But because Google was being paid nicely by these people for ad space and HubPages was not paying them for ad space, they did not want to play ball with them. And then after a while, something happened. We're not being told what, but Google decided to pull a lot of their ads. So there are still Google ads on the HubPages accounts right now, right this very second, just not as many, and they're not paying as much. So when Maven saw all of this upon purchase, they realized they're not making a lot on the Google ads. Now, a sane person would see that and decide, you know what? If I'm not making any revenue on Google ads, I'll just find another monetization platform because there's like 1 trillion of them. You can go to Commission Junction. I have an account there. Haven't really made anything off of it, but I'm trying. You go to Amazon, which has been my most consistently paying affiliate place. I know, evil corporation, but they pay really well. You can go to a bunch of other sites that have affiliate links and affiliate stuff and affiliate ads. You can pick and choose. The internet's a nice big place for all of this. Did Maven want to put that work in? No. Did Maven want to replace the Google ads with something else? No, because that would have required effort. So rather than look for a replacement affiliate service, they just decided to screw all of us, and they told us in November they were going to shut the page down. I want you to remember what I just said. Shut the page down. Now, to most people, I would say 99.99% of people on planet Earth, that means the page is going bye-bye. Okay? We all agree to this idea. Apparently, HubPages belongs to a different 0.1% of this, and we're going to find out how, okay? So let's go back to November, and suddenly I can't produce any more new content. And right after I discover I can no longer produce content, they locked me out of my account. So I thought maybe something happened. Was I hacked? No. Just they decided to play games with me, which is a bad idea because I'm a Scorpio. Please don't. So every other week I would get locked out of my account. Some weeks I could log in and visit my articles, but I can't edit them anymore. I can't update them. And I'm going to come back to why that's a big issue with me. And I can visit my earnings, but they're not paying me. Now we're running into some big problems. So a couple of us had this exact same problem, and we can't access the forum anymore, but we have a Facebook group. So we're comparing notes on the Facebook group, and a lot more of us are in the same boat as me. So then they start telling us that we're going to get a final payment in January. We're going to circle back to that. We're supposed to get a final payment January of 2026, and then come February, they're going to start winding everything down, and 1st of March, they said whatever affairs we had left in order, they were going to square up with us, and then that's it. No more website, no more HubPages. This is what we were told. I have copies of this email. I have saved copies, and my fellow writers have saved copies, because everything comes back. It always does. So, let's fast forward to today. Guess who didn't get paid? It's not January anymore. I know every single one of you with a calendar already knows that, and for those who don't have calendar or haven't access to calendar, you just woke up. It is February. We are in the first week of February. It's not January anymore. I've not gotten paid. So they let me back into my account, and now I've been able to consistently log in, so whatever the issue was is cleared up. So I'm logging into my account, and I'm seeing how many hits are on all of my articles, and I'm seeing what I was supposed to have been paid. Now, they said anybody who made over $5 would be paid in January. If you did not make $5, you're not being paid, period. Which I see as a major red flag, because that's wage theft at this point. Gig work or not, that is theft. But I look into my category. I wasn't able to make it to the other live stream. Congratulations on your new AG Mini-Me. She's beautiful and looks so much like you. I love her outfit. It's so you. Thank you so much. She does. I love her. She's behind the camera to remind me to not go to prison. Anyway, so like I said, I've not been paid since January. I go to see what my earnings are. Now, like I said, on this column, I can see how many hits each of my articles has been making. And if I go deeper, the site has a block that I can access that shows me where my website traffic comes from. And curiously enough, although I constantly share links on Facebook, I get not a lot of traffic there. But I do get a lot of traffic from Google, the company that supposedly screwed everybody out of Google Ads and didn't want to put us up on the Google searches because we don't pay for that, and didn't want us on Google News anymore. Somehow, despite all this, all of my traffic is coming from Google, and it's good. It's positive. It's a good thing. So I'm comparing how much traffic I'm making, which I'm also comparing to the clicks, how many people are clicking on the ads, whether that's accidental or on purpose. And then I'm looking at my revenue. They're holding hostage $22.24. Did I say $2,200? No. Did I say $22,000? Of course not. But $22.24, HubPages is holding hostage. And I'm like, why? You have my PayPal. You've consistently paid me through PayPal before. My PayPal is in good standing. I just logged in this morning. Where's my money? And why is it only $22.24? I'm looking at my clicks, I'm looking at my hits, and it's not adding up. There should be a minimum of $50. And I'm lowballing myself on this because the clicks are high. I should have a substantial lot more money in the piggy bank than $22.24. You guys never take fees from me. Where's my money? So I emailed the people, and the powers that be don't have an answer for me on my money. Instead, they sent me a ransom note. The ransom note, which I posted to my YouTube posts, I guess you can call it. If you click on my actual username, Codename Sailor Earth, and you go over to like the community section, I have it there. I've got a screenshot of the email there so you can read it for yourself. Basically, in a nutshell, I have until the end of this month to delete all of my articles from HubPages, or come March 1st, they're going to hold on to my articles and they'll make money off of my work forever, and I don't. Time out. What did you tell me in November? You told me you were shutting down. You told me you were going bye-byes forever. The website's going to die forever. That's what you told me. You told me the website was shutting down in November, which is why I went on this odyssey of migrating all of my articles to other websites. Then you told me that the website was going to shut down first week of March completely, and I had just that much time to collect my belongings. Now you're telling me that my articles are going to remain live post March 1st, and you'll be making money off of my content? But hold up. At the bottom of every article, you, not me, you coded in a blurb that says copyright, whatever year I wrote the article, Coriander Bullard. That's me. So if you have my content and you make money off of that content and you don't pay me, that's called theft. And I can sue you. I can drag your dumb ass to court and own you. Do you want me to do that? Because I can do that. I asked the dude point blank at HubPages, what do you mean? You are going to keep making money off of my content if I don't delete it. You said the website was going dark in November. You told me repeatedly there would be no website after the 1st of March. Now all of a sudden you're going to maintain my content, acknowledge my copyright, but not pay me? How do you think this is working out for you, Bubby? So far, I haven't gotten a response. I can't wait to hear what that response is going to be. So I decided, you know what? I don't have to wait for the 1st of March. I don't like to procrastinate if I don't have to. So I just spent the entire afternoon setting all of my articles for deletion. What the heck? They actually said that to you. They're absolutely sick and disgusting for that. They're not even hiding the fact that they're selfish and corrupt. You should totally sue. I totally am. I'm going to be calling lawyers, and I'm going to be seeing where my legal foothold would be and what I can do about that. And since I'm still in the group on Facebook, I'm going to let my fellow authors know if I find this information out, because I know a couple of folks a lot older than me were thinking about a class action, and I think that's a very nice idea. And I do not mind sharing my earnings if that means we have some justice in the whole thing. Because I'm more interested in justice for all. You know, I kind of have an influence on that. So yeah, I decided not to let them make any more money off of me. I took all of my articles and put them through the deletion process. They have approximately 24 hours to confirm the deletion of the articles, all 184 of them. If any of them are still active come Thursday morning, I will absolutely make sure their lives are going to be a living nightmare. Because at this point, I'm all about vengeance. So that's where we stand with that. Now, the good side is my articles were already backed up on the Internet Wayback Machine, And I already have copies offline on my laptop. So I'm still migrating articles. I have 73 articles left to consolidate or migrate. And with my Sailor Moon articles, those already are live on a new page. And I already have a new article up. So I've already started the ball on making new articles for 2026. Just, I want to make sure the last of these are migrated so it's off of my conscience, and so that as I'm resubmitting my sites for backlinks and such, Google has enough time to update everything that they have on me so that, you know, I know it'll affect my SEO for a while, but not like a big while, more like a few days while, which I can live with. And I have been going through all of my social medias. I'm not going to go back through 5 years of content and pulling old posts and old links because that's just ridiculous. But I can bury the old stuff down by posting the links on the new pages. So that's one thing I've been doing. Now, we're not done talking about HubPages. Oh no. So I want to go back in time 5 years. Because I'm sure by now some of you must be wondering, how did I even get mixed up with HubPages in the first place? And it all starts with a little anime called Inuyasha. I am Sailor Earth, champion of justice. I right wrong to sue the fuck out of you, and that means y'all. Yeah, and I want to make a t-shirt of that now, and I will credit you. Thank you, Mabook. Thank you. That is 100% me. So, let's have some story time. How did I get to HubPages? It's going to start with a little anime called Inuyasha, or rather, the second sequel, Yashahime. Wow, I really do cringe that hard, don't I? I just noticed that. So, once upon a time, when I was a teenager, about a year older than this girl here, I spent far too much time watching Inuyasha. It was if you've not seen it, you don't have to, but it was a millennial defining anime. In a nutshell, if you were up late at night in the early 2000s and you were watching Adult Swim before they decided to merge Toonami and Adult Swim permanently into one and the same, they had like tested the waters with with Toonami Midnight Run, and you know, Adult Swim's anime block was kind of like the test for what would be adult Toonami today. If you were in the early 2000s and you couldn't go to sleep like you should have, and you were watching Cartoon Network, you were watching Inuyasha. And if you've never heard of Inuyasha, because I have had some fans of my Facebook page who were much younger, adults still, but Gen Zers, very curious. They were like, what is an Inuyasha? How come I see these little figures at, like, you know, FYE? you are awesome, Mabook. You are the awesome one. But there were some young Gen Zers who were like, I see these figures at FYE, I see these figures at Barnes & Noble, and I see, like, you know, weeaboomers, it's what they call some of us millennials now, sort of crying angry tears over this. What is this? So I will regale you. If you've never seen Inuyasha, it is a series created by Rumiko Takahashi. If you watch Netflix, she previously created Ranma 1/2 and Urusei Yatsura before Inuyasha, light years before Inuyasha, because Inuyasha was like 98, 99 when she did her manga, and Ranma and Urusei Yatsura, that was like an 80s thing. And the reboot for Ranma is on Netflix. The original is on Hulu. And there's a lot of Urusei Yatsura between High Dive and Crunchyroll and Retro Crush on your Roku boxes. But anywho, Inuyasha was similar but different. Similar in the ways of lots of teenage angst and drama, lots of sexism, lots of, oh my god, all of you are bad people. But also different in that there was like a linear story that was a little more shonen than shoujo. 15-year-old Kagome falls down a well at her family's shrine, ends up in the feudal era. So it is kind of like an isekai, except she didn't have to die to go to the feudal era. She just jumped down a well. Or rather gets dragged down a well by a fugly demon. Long story. She finds this boy named Inuyasha, and then she subsequently finds out that in a previous life, she lived here as Kikyo, who was a horrid bitch. I don't like her. And Kikyo died by stupidity, and her baby sister Kaede is now an old woman, and everybody settles their children onto her for some reason. And she's like the goat of the series. But most of the series focuses on the relationship drama between Inuyasha and Kagome, and Kikyo gets split from her for a while, and she is super much dead and an adult, but Inuyasha will not stop pining for her, and also he's a half demon, he's a half dog demon, and his daddy was a dog, and I have issues with him. And he's got an older brother named Sesshomaru that too many people on the internet support, defend, and fap to, and I'd like that to stop. And I got wrapped up in this anime. Also, there's a Shikon jewel, and whoever gets the jewel, it's cute. Whoever gets the Shikon jewel, it's kind of like the silver crystal. You can pretty much do whatever you want. Unfortunately, everybody who comes into contact with Shikon jewel goes. So it's kind of for the world's benefit if this thing doesn't exist anymore. But there's a whole lot of relationship drama. So, they wrapped up this series with a sub-series called Inuyasha Final Act, which wrapped up all of the anime's plot points. And I thought it had a nice, happy ending. And if we had just stopped here, I would have no problems with this series outside of the non-consensual stuff and the sexism and the some of these characters really shouldn't be together because you are sure you're close in age, but one of you is an adult and the other's still in high school. Stop it. But, wouldn't have been so bad if they stopped here. Well, at some point they decided to make Yashahime, which was a sequel, in which Inuyasha and Kagome, spoiler alert, they did get together and they have a daughter, and she is best girl. Her name is Moroha. I will hear no slander towards her. And then Inuyasha's older asshole brother, Sesshomaru, has daughters of his own. So, some of my previous followers remembered that when my YouTube channel was new, I used to have 2 Inuyasha videos. I don't remember if they're still on. If they're not, it's probably because I used a copyrighted music. I've learned my lesson. I don't do that anymore. Because I made 2 Inuyasha music videos, and I guess a lot of people liked them more than I thought they would. So some of my oldest followers reminded me of that, and they were like, hey, Codename Sailor Earth, are you going to, review Yashahime? And I said I would if everybody agreed to like my Codename Sailor Earth Facebook page. Everybody did, so I went ahead and reviewed Yashahime at my own health. And, this series went from, gee, the writing needs a lot of help. I can live with the animation being what it is, but gee, the writing needs a lot of help, to, oh my god, you are totally promoting Epstein Island shit because you just turned Sesshomaru into a pedophile. And for context, during Inuyasha, Sesshomaru adopts an 8-year-old little girl named Rin. She's a girl, she's a human girl. He's a 600-plus-year-old full-grown demon man. During the series, he adopts the little girl, brings her back from the dead twice, and he actually learns how to be a good dad, and he does dad stuff for her. And I thought that was perfectly fine. He's learning not to be an asshole. He's no longer my least favorite character. Now he's up a few pegs. He's being a good dad. And if you stopped here, that would be fine. But no, Yashahime decided to change up that. So 6 months after his baby brother gets married before him, he marries and knocks up the little girl, and she has his twin daughters. And the character Jockin tries to fudge her age midway through the series, but then Kagome and Kaede acknowledge, as the series goes on, she was 12 when he married and sired children with her. And now I hate Sesshomaru more than I hate Kikyo, and this is my least favorite character, and I will die on this hill that you just don't touch children. So I made that be known on Facebook. I went on several Facebook rants about how angry I was at Yashahime, how angry I was at the writing, how angry I was that they took a sweet story of a dude becoming an adoptive father and they turned him into Woody Allen. And then after they Ted Nugented his ass, I decided, you know what, I should probably be paid for some of this because I'm seeing the laughing face emoji and it's not in jest. People are actually enjoying the laughter. You, what the fuck? Yeah, that's the correct response. Thank you. Thank you, Mibook. That is the correct response. So, after this show pissed me off way too much, I decided to look into paid blogging. Now, when I tried looking years prior, I didn't see a lot of websites that really did it for me. A lot of sites didn't like anime content. I also write about old cartoons that aren't anime. They didn't seem to want any of that either, so years ago I had just left this alone. Well, after Yashahime, this is 2021 now, I decided I'm gonna make money off of my hatred of this show. So I tooled around, and a friend of a friend of a friend had told me about HubPages because they were about to move to Medium, but they had Inuyasha articles and they were happy with the money they made. And they said for a beginner, this would be a great fit. So I go through the application process of HubPages. It was long, it was excruciating, but I made it. And I told a few other friends. They didn't quite make the cut, and I never got an explanation on why, because I think my friends are really good writers too. But somehow I made the cut. And the thing that they liked about me the most at the time was that I wanted to talk about something timely, which was at the time, of course, Yashahime. So I made a couple of articles about why Sesshomaru is the worst part of the show, and I cleaned up my language because you shouldn't cuss on professional pages. So I cleaned up my language. I replaced all of the, fuck Sesshomaru, fuck all of the writers, fuck all of the animators with, this is a problematic situation. And that was, of course, SEO friendly. So I made some Yashahime articles. They did well. So I was like, you know what? Let's test the waters. I started adding Sailor Moon content. Then I started adding content about old cartoons because at the time Space Jam 2 hadn't come out and people were getting their panties in a wad over Pepe Le Pew. Because you have some cartoon fans that are like, you should automatically like everything problematic and never be offended. And then there's other people who are like, no, even Dave Chappelle, who is super problematic himself, brought up the fact that Pepe Le Pew is very ditty. Very ditty. Because, like, it's not just Penelope Pussycat, but there's, like, other cartoon characters where he does not understand the concept of, no, don't touch, leave me alone. And, that's not really fun for us, so we don't want our children seeing that. Yeah, it's a little messed up, isn't it? So, I wrote cartoon articles about why certain Looney Tune characters go away, why their cartoons, they're not canceled in the idea that you'll never see them again. They're just canceled in the idea that you don't see them in new stuff, but you can still watch the old cartoons. There's tons of DVDs on Amazon, perfectly legal. You can watch the cartoons. They even have an Amazon Prime section just for Pepe Le Pew, so you can choose if you want to watch that or not. And I think that's fair. And a lot of the DVDs have disclaimers saying, hey, you're going to see some problematic stuff. We don't condone this. We're in the 2020s now, but if you choose to watch it, you can. I like this because I'm not a censorship person. I'm not happy that there's cartoons that have like sexist stuff, rapey stuff, racist stuff, homophobic stuff, transphobic stuff. I don't like any of that. But I like that if you don't censor it, you, your parents, everybody involved, you can have conversations about what this content was, why it's offensive, why we don't do it anymore. And then you can choose if you want to watch the cartoon by yourself or if you want to skip ahead to the next cartoon or just watch something else. I like that choice. Because I feel like if we don't talk about this stuff, history keeps repeating itself. If you don't believe me, watch this thing called the news. So anywho, I did articles about that, and I did articles about pop culture in general, and At first, things seemed great. I didn't have too many of my articles edited by the staff because I'm good at editing by myself. That used to be a job of mine. I still do it for my own books. But then, I want to say about 2022 going into 23, something happened. I started noticing that I got a pile of emails, all saying that my articles were still live, but they had been snipped and clipped. And I'm like, what does snip and clip mean? And I asked the editors, did I do something wrong? Because I know you guys have a set list of rules for content because you want to make the website appeal to all ages. Have I crossed a line? Did I say something I shouldn't have? Did I talk about a subject that you don't want me to talk about anymore? And the resounding answer from all the editors was, no, you're fine. You followed our rules. Just we're rearranging some stuff because, and then they gave me a lot of jargon. It was SEO this and analytics that, and it was trends and just buzzword. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm the one who needs an education. Maybe I just need to be brushed up on, you know, how business should be handled in the 2020s. Because a lot of my ideals about websites are outdated. I've been building websites since I was 9 years old. Moon Sisters, moonsisters.org, the way it exists, it's piggybacked off of content that I originally created when I was a minor. And then in 2005, I blossomed it, I embellished upon it, and I turned it into what it is now. So I've been doing this since I was 9 years old, and I'm thinking, maybe I'm the one that needs to brush up on stuff. So I would ask questions like, what would you like me to do? What would you like me to change? And again, buzzwords. I was lucky if I got like a full sentence. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to put up the articles and cross my fingers. Not great business strategy, but I got paid, so I guess it worked. But then I start noticing my pay is going down. So as a writer, I'm thinking, I need to up the ante. I need to make better articles. So I started making longer cartooning articles. And they initially had me capped at a word limit of 1,700 words, and then all of a sudden they didn't care what my word count limit was as long as it was like beneath 2,000, which should have been a red flag if you don't care what I'm putting on your page that you are hosting. But if it makes the payment number go back up, I will do it. Now, let's go back to snipped and clipped. So they said that they were starting to snip and clip sites because they were moving my articles to different sites that they owned. And for a little while, that did see a little bump in pay for me until it stopped being a payment thing at all. I stopped being paid. There were some months I made $0. And again, I'm looking at the numbers and it's not adding up. So when they sent my articles to different sub pages, I found that whoever was doing the editing there was just throwing in shit for the sake of throwing in shit. So one of my old links, I guess, auto-directed to wherever they moved one of my pages to. And some of my followers were like, hey, do you really believe in this, Corey? Do you really support that? And I was getting some weird messages on Facebook, and I'm like, what is this about? So I go and I find out that on some of my articles, the new editors have helped themselves. They're speaking in first person as if they were me, which they're not, because they're not even talking to me. And they're adding video links that I didn't approve, and links to sites I've never visited before, and I'm not being paid for. It's not monetized. And they're adding in quotes I never typed. And the biggest problem is they're cutting out chunks of information. My articles are usually historical, and they're usually informative that's meant to teach. And they're cutting out stuff that teaches. And they're putting in, again, buzzwords and jargon and slang. And I'm like, we have an anti-slang policy. Why are you going against your own policy and putting in slang here, especially outdated slang? How do I explain to you that far out is not used anymore? So that meant I had to go back and manually put back older content, put back graphics because they were taking some of the graphics that I made off. I had to put those back. And I had to go back and retype and re-edit entire paragraphs of stuff. So this was really annoying. And then midway through 2023, some of those people go away. I don't know if they were fired. I don't know if they quit. I don't know what happened, but they stopped doing that for a while. So I'm like, okay, we're returning to form. That's good. I'm continuing to produce content. And then they really wanted me around this time to produce some articles that I didn't really want to. So I had a peanut butter cookie recipe up. I've since taken that down because although it is a recipe I use and the cookies are good, the format is not something I was comfortable with. And if I don't want to read it, I don't want you guys sitting through it and acting like you have to like it. And then there were a couple of Disney articles that were about, at the time, current movies like Raya and Turning Red. And it wasn't that I was told to write them, it was that I was pressured. You know, it's like, oh, you're writing about Cinderella. That's kind of an old movie. We want the new stuff. Have you heard about this Turning Red? So I wrote articles about them because at the time there was a little bit of controversy because with Raya, from what I've seen of the movie, it seems like they kind of smooshed together a bunch of different Asian cultures that are not linked. They have nothing in common in real life. And I feel like that's kind of bogus. You know, when you do Asian representation, try and pick one country and one culture and make a movie around that instead of smooshing in Hmong culture, Japanese culture, Chinese, Taiwanese, Tibet, because those are all different. They don't have a lot in common. Those are really unique cultures that should be respected. And I did take a little umbrage with that. But the article I wrote and the article that they edited it to, I wasn't happy with, so I took that away too. And then as for Turning Red, there were lots of trailers where it's basically kind of just the main character doodling Sailor Moon and doodling other stuff that Disney doesn't own. And a lot of aggression in the characters. And I wrote an article about that, but I've since taken that down too, because again, it's like parts of it are me and parts of it are I'm being peer pressured into writing this. So I'm not going to be repurposing those two articles as of right now because because I've been pressured into them, I don't really feel comfortable with them anymore. So those won't be migrated, but the others will. The rest of them will. But yeah, they were like kind of softly pressuring me into newer stuff and more timely articles. Aside from those, though, I did do a good enough job with writing timely stuff. After Yashahime wrapped up, which I'm guessing they're not going to be doing another season, and the manga for it has nothing in common with the anime whatsoever, and Rumiko Takahashi has taken her name off of it, so there's that. I tried to, let's see, they're literally trying to sabotage you. That's a shady business. Future lawsuit smelling good. Sorry they pressured you like that. Shame on them. Yeah, it was not fun. I'll be honest, a lot of sites do that with their writers, so I was kind of expecting it, just not the way that they did it. So anywho, I did write a few more articles that were more timely. I kept up with a lot of the drama that was going on in the state of Florida with Disney. I kept up with Tucker Carlson, you know, losing his ever-loving shit over green M&Ms and Minnie Mouse wearing pants. I'm thinking he should probably seek therapy for that. And I did an article about Ken's character in the Barbie movie. So those were at the time timely issues. And then I would just go back and edit them to make them evergreen so that they would still feel fresh even if they were older articles, because that's what the MeTV website does, and I really like their articles. They're a lot of fun and very informative. But then after a while, after they got rid of those editors, they stopped talking to me. So for like, I would say a year and a half, I got no communication from them whatsoever. And my pay is just kind of going just up and down. So 2024, I wasn't producing as much because I was pregnant with my son. And then after I had him, I grossly misjudged how tired I would be. Postpartum is really no joke and lasts more than 6 weeks, more like 5 years. I didn't know that. Fun to learn at the hospital. So anywho, I wasn't producing as much because I misjudged who I would be after this. But then, even as I was producing like some of my last articles going through 2025, I'm getting no communication. And I'm noticing my follower count is kind of stagnated. The clicks are there, the hits are there, the pay is not really there. And I'm noticing on social media, there seems to be some sort of discourse. Some people are just kind of like talking about me without tagging me, if that makes sense. Like I'm having grown adults older than me talk behind my back. Really weird. But then too, America's pretty messed up at the moment. Lots of juveniles. So it's just like, okay, interesting. And a lot of the comments about my articles are not making sense. I'm like, why are you talking about this or that when I don't talk about these things? So then, of course, November happens. And as I said early in the video, we're told the website's going to go away. And today, of course, they're like, oh no, we're going to keep the website up. We're just not paying you anymore. Which I'm like, I'm suing you. So as I'm after I got the November email, I automatically made copies of every single thing I ever did for HubPages. Now, it's all on the Internet Wayback Machine if you want to go visit it and see all the changes they made from 2021 to 2025. You go right ahead. But I made my own offline copies anyway, because that's just who I am now. So then I start building my websites. I go through Weebly because it's quick and easy, and I have a lot of fun with Weebly. And I start making up the websites. I separated all the articles by category, and I'm like, okay, my Sailor Moon articles go to Sailor Moon Examination, and I'm going to make that part of Moon Sisters. And then I've got, my cartooning articles, and some of my anime articles, they're going to go to my old uncensored cartoon page because I already have a standby blog there. I just have to add content. Cool. I made a new site for lifestyle and regular pop culture that I couldn't fit anywhere else. I made a new addition to my Coriander Dolls page for girl-related articles. So not just doll-related, but like girls' media, like magical girls that aren't Sailor Moon and girly movies and things of that nature, and Vocaloid. They can go on that page. And then I made a little tiny wrestling website. I call it WrestleZette. It's tiny, it's a baby, but I have that for my wrestling articles. And then I figure, since I'm a cartoonist and I draw wrestlers anyway, I'm going to eventually put up cartoons on the site. I might do that tonight or tomorrow. I haven't decided. Well, as I'm migrating my articles and I'm remonetizing them through Amazon, I noticed that they never told me that they helped themselves to even more editing up through, it looks like, 2024. So there's articles that, again, have graphics I didn't use, videos I did not approve of. There's blurbs that are missing. There's blurbs that were rewritten. Some of the images were shuffled about. And that really bothered me because for some articles, the images aren't just cool and full of Y2K graphics. They also are part of the visual storytelling. Like, I have a wrestling article about Booker T's wife because she had a short career at WCW before she married Booker T, who some of you younger folks might know him as the lead commentator on NXT. He had a really long career as a professional wrestler in WCW, WWE, and TNA. Well, his wife had her own career. I wrote an article about it. And I used the graphics for certain points in her career, like her feud with Sunny, who's in prison and should stay there forever, and Tigress, and then like her post-career. And they totally scrambled those images and rearranged them. I had another article about Woman. For those of you who are a little on the young side, If you hear the name Nancy Benoit, then you know that her husband, Chris Benoit, murdered her and her son and then offed himself. But before they got together, she had a really long wrestling career. Before he even became a wrestler, she had a really long career. Everybody ignores her because of how she died and because she was previously married to another wrestler named Kevin Sullivan, who's also since passed on. But that's all they focused on. All these wrestling websites only focused on how she died. I wanted to focus on how she lived. So I made this nice long article that was just about her, and I didn't mention either of her husbands. HubPages decided to rearrange the pictures and rearrange the blurbs, and I'm like, that's all out of order. So I had to put that back in order. There were a couple of other articles that they did a number on. Like last night, I migrated an article about how this one toy, it was a little wooden toy called Mickey. It predates Mickey Mouse by 3 years. And this was a toy that was actually featured on PBS's History Detectives because it really stumped them. So I had this article about the toy and how Walt Disney knew about the toy. And even though his Mickey and their Mickey were similar, there wasn't a lawsuit and there was something of a camaraderie where they both went through the same toy distributors. And HubPages scrambled that article too. And they cut out a big historical chunk all about how Milton Mouse, Mickey Mouse, and this other Mickey Mouse all have a loose connection to a comic strip called Crazy Cat. And it's that character, that comic strip's antagonist and later protagonist, Ignatz Mouse. HubPages took that whole thing out. And I'm like, if you don't have the mouse that links all of these cartoon characters, it kind of just swirls around and doesn't go anywhere. They also took out the blurb about how the Performo toy company that made the first Mickey also had their own duck with 3 little duck nephews. Does that sound like Donald to you? Because it does to me. And their own little dog toy that resembles a crude version of Pluto. And all of this history was chopped out. And I'm like, there's no point to the article if you don't have the history. That's why the article exists. There were just so many articles, and I still have 73 left to go through, where they took stuff out and they rearranged stuff and they never told me. So now I look like a boob, because if you have half-assed articles, you look half-assed. So I get to fix that too, which is so lovely. 73 left to go. So the longer I sit with it and just let it cook, the more angry I am that I ever was with HubPages and I spent this much time. You know, this is really unprofessional of them. They edited stuff without telling me. They rearranged stuff. The other thing that really bugs me is when I downloaded HTML copies of all of my articles, a lot of the ads got downloaded with them. And a lot of these ads are uniquely inappropriate. And I have 2 problems with that. The first problem I have is that when I signed up with HubPages, they were clear: no NSFW content, no cussing, no overtly sexualized content, no inappropriate stuff. Basically, if you wouldn't show your grandma this, you're not showing us this, which is a really simple rule to follow. You know, a trained chimpanzee could do the same thing. So it angered me on that level that you're holding me to a standard where I can't go into certain territories, historical or not, but you can have Google ads for sexual stuff. You can have Google ads for inappropriate stuff. That's not cool. The second problem I had, and this pertains mostly to my cartoon history articles, and I guess a little bit to Yashahime, since, you know, some stuff was aimed at minors when it shouldn't have been, was that some of the ads, very Diddy, very Epstein. And I don't need to go further than that. I think those 2 words are buzzworthy enough you can figure out what I'm trying to say without saying it. Very Sesshomaru. And I have a big problem with that because I don't want my name attached to anything that would seem as though it promotes that sort of stuff. Okay, I know anime itself is dubious because there's too many characters that should be aged up an awful lot more. And you know, I know that there's some cartoon characters that are super problematic, but even still, the ads that I saw went further. I don't want to say what I saw. I don't want to say what it was that was upsetting me so much, but it makes me wonder who's running Google Ads. You know, if you talk to your robots lately, because some of them could use a little dismantling. And that really bothered me with some of the content that I saw. So once this project's done, there's a lot of files that are going to be purged from my computer too, because I don't want that on my soul. I understand that with Google Ads, they show whatever their algorithm wants to show. You can go into your Google AdSense account and you can turn certain stuff off. And I know this because my oldest blogger account is still monetized. They're hanging on to $80 that they've never paid me. But I know how the AdSense thing works because when I monetized that old blogger account, the first thing I did was I went through and I toggled off certain things. Like I didn't want political ads because the ones they chose disturbed me. I didn't want any drug or alcohol ads because I'm straight edge. I don't do those things. I don't want anything to do with like pot or cigarettes or drugs or alcohol. It's not me, so I don't want to promote that. Or vaping. I don't want anything with that. I toggled off NSFW ads, and I toggled off a few other categories. And while I still didn't like some of the ads that they did produce, at least I could go to bed at night knowing the ads that show up on my blogger aren't hateful or disturbing or creepy. And again, you can show your grandparents the ads, and they're not going to be any more offended than you are. I felt good about that. So if I can do that on the civilian front, why can't HubPages do that? Why are they allowing ads that are super inappropriate? And then, of course, some of the ads they also had were scammy and straight up AI and sloppy AI on top of it, just pure AI slop. And I'm like, okay, the nicest ad on here is an ad for a bootleg Pokemon game. And then the worst ads on here are for things that get you sent to prison because they're very Epstein-y. Why is this on HubPages? Why is this part of your revenue? Well, why aren't you toggling these ads off? It really upset me. It kind of triggered me because I used to have ads on Moon Sisters for J-List, and they used to have a thing where you could just have J-Box ads, which were just Pokemon, real Sailor Moon stuff, Dragon Ball Z figurines, you know, stuff that, again, you can show your grandparents. And then after a while, they merged in regular J-List stuff, and a lot of that is super Epstein. And I was like, I don't want that on my website. I'm not interested in that. That's not okay. Love pillows are for characters that are above the age of 18. You know, like, I don't have a problem that there's a Keenan Demian love pillow by GE Animation that's official merchandise in the world. I'm okay with Keenan Demian because he's a grown-up. He's over 1,000 years old, and he stopped aging in his 20s. That's fine. That's an adult. I can live with that. I don't care if Neo Queen Serenity has a love pillow. I don't care if Sailor Pluto has a love pillow. Those are grown-ups. And they stopped aging at grown-up ages. And that's fine. Hotaru does not need a love pillow. She's 12. Full stop. So I was mad at J-List for doing those kind of ads. So when I see the same kind of ads on HubPages, except we're not talking about cartoon characters or anime characters, we're talking about people, I got really upset. And I really think they should be investigated for not turning that off. And I think Google Ads needs to be investigated. Let's investigate them. Let's call the FBI on them, please, because that's not okay. So, yeah, I was really pissed off. And again, I had no say in the matter. HubPages at no point came to me and asked me if I was comfortable with certain ads. So whatever ads any of you saw for 5 years, I had no say in. I had no control over. And I'm upset about that because I should have been able to say, no, I don't want that associated with my name, my brand, my article, my anything. So, kind of in a way, this is a blessing where I can, since I'm migrating my articles, I can have the final say on what content you see. I can link products that are relevant to the article. So instead of you seeing, like, again, the bootleg ad for a AI Pokemon bootleg game, instead, I can link if I have, let's say, the Pepe Le Pew article again, I can link the DVD. I can link the Prime Video thing. I can link the t-shirt through the official Warner Brothers store. And then you can make your choices. If I have a Sailor Moon article, I can put up all the Blu-rays and DVDs and plushies and action figures that I want, and it's all legitimate stuff. And yeah, I make a stipend off of it, but you're getting legitimate stuff. I can do that. My Barbie articles, I link actual Barbie merchandise to those articles. And because I can drag and drop them, that means if something sells out, I can just swap it out with something else that's official and clean and safe. And you can show this to your grandparents. And I like having that power over my stuff. So in some ways, leaving HubPages is a blessing because I no longer am at the mercy of a company that cares so little about their own content that they wouldn't check to see what the algorithm put into the ads. But on the other hand, this has also been a very long, excruciating nightmare. And again, I have 73 articles left to migrate. And then I have to convince all these search engines to take only the newest stuff and not worry about the old stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of an SEO headache. But that's where I'm at. Now, as for my articles, they are currently on Weebly run pages. Weebly got bought out by Square. I don't get a break. For now, Square is allowing us to continue to use Weebly, but somewhere in the future, I will have to migrate them again, along with the old Weebly sites that I've already had up too. So I'm going to spend chunks of this year deciding how I'm going to plan for that future, because I don't know if they're going to keep Weebly for years or if we're going to have another HubPages incident. So I am going to probably take a class on making my own server and see what I can do with that. Maybe later this year. Maybe get an education in that. But for right now, they're fine with Weebly. I love Weebly, so I get to have my pages. And on the if you click on my username, Codename Sailor Earth for YouTube, and go to the community section, I have the link there for where everything is. I should have linked it in this video, and my apologies for not. It might be in the video description. I'm so tired I didn't check. But yeah, that's kind of where things stand. So effective today, I've set all of the HubPages account articles for deletion. Hopefully that will be taken care of by Thursday morning. And all of the old articles are moving to my new pages. And then once I'm done with that, I can go back to making new articles. And when you go to my pages now, no more scam ads, no more AI ads, no more slop ads, none of it. All of it links to legitimate products, and I get paid a little stipend from that. So I don't have to worry about where the money's coming from. I know where it came from. And in a previous live video, I also showed off what the pages look like and the other stuff I added, like the video wall and such. So when you get off of this video, go through my YouTube page, go through my live videos, and check that out. I'm starting to lose my voice, so I will definitely jump off of here and go back to migrating some more articles. But now you know the whole thing between me and HubPages. And for anybody who's watching this who might be an aspiring writer, I have a wonderful piece of advice for you. Before you try to monetize your blog, make your own first. Go to Wix, go to WordPress, go to any site that you can that has like a free area where you can have a free blog. Yep, no AI on my new page. Go to like Wix, go to Weebly, go to WordPress, go to any place that has like a free blog. Put your stuff up there, and then try to get signed up with Amazon affiliates. Try to get signed up with Commission Junction. Get signed up with other places that offer you affiliate links and affiliate stuff that you can make money off of. Just make sure that it's content you control, including the ads. Like one of the things I do for Commission Junction, and you'll see it on all of my websites now, instead of using their AI generated banner links, which I didn't like some of the content there, I make my own little button graphics, and if you click on it, it kapow takes you to their website, and whatever you buy there, I make a commission off of. But at least it's a little tiny button, and I made it. And that way, you're not seeing any AI ads, you're not seeing scam ads, you're not seeing stuff that you wouldn't want your grandparents or your children seeing. I feel good about that. You know, when you go to monetize your stuff, have as much control as you can. That is my best advice for an aspiring writer. That way, you're not in my predicament trying to re-upload articles and then squeegee off coding that leads to really unsavory stuff and AI crap. So that would be my best advice. But anywho, I'm going to get a bottle of water and then go back to... Oh, hey, there's a bottle of water behind me. I'm going to get my water and I'm going to go back to migrating stuff. I just wanted to get this off of my chest. Do you have Sailor Moon Super's villain dolls? I have a couple of plushies of the Amazonas Quartet. Actually, I think I see one. Hold on. Hold on. Don't go nowhere. I'm right here. I'm currently rearranging stuff in my house. Let's see, is she in here? Let's see, there's that one, there's this one. I thought she was in here. Oh yeah. Hello, kitty. See, those are my newer plushies from GE Animation. Okay, so she's not in this bag. Let's see. I thought I had her over here. Where did I put... Oh, wait, you know what? Wrong bag. Let me tilt the camera a smooch. Hello, kitty. There's Pluto. There's Neptune. There's Pikachu. There's my S villains. Where's my Super S at? It's not there. Doggone it. Let me see. I could have swore she was in here. Oh, there she is. There she is. I got Pala Pala. Somewhere around here, I have a vest from the 90s. But here's Pala Pala from GE Animation. Let's see. I have a couple of bags of plushies behind the camera. I'm currently redoing stuff. Let's see who else is in here. Yeah, these are all my newer ones. Like, well, hey, here's one of my 90s ones. I got, of course, Sailor Chibi Moon with her wand. And the latest GE Animation Chibi Moon. I have like different Sailor Moon plushies all over. So I do have Vestas, but it's a 90s plush instead of a current one. So not a lot of Super S content yet, but I am hoping to change that. I do love Super S very much. Or Supers, depending on how you want to go about it. There we go. Yeah, I've been, when I'm not working on my blog or dealing with coding issues that make me scream and say bad words, I have been working on trying to redecorate a little bit. Haven't decided how I'm going to do it. Just sort of moving stuff around, really. But behind the camera, I actually have a bunch of plushies. Just, I don't have them set in a way that looks proper at the moment. There's like a mini shelf where they're kind of shoved in a bit behind the Hello Kitties. And then there's another shelf that looks a little more presentable, but I kind of want all of them to look nicer. So that's why I haven't turned this camera around. But yeah. I've got so much to do. Oh, another little neat thing I can show you though. Currently collecting these little Sailor Moon S bags. There's a seller that I've been shopping with for ages. And she's also a friend of mine. Her name's Tunji. And she runs a store on eBay called Taneas' Shop. It's got like a little Sailor Puka on there. And I got a bunch of these bags from her from 94. So like I got Sailor Moon. These are all S series. Got Sailor Venus. Got Sailor Jupiter with her ultra cute ponytail. And I got Sailor Mars. I'm hoping to find a Mercury. Oh yeah, more cute stuff. I have, and this came from her shop too. It's like this little, like flat Sailor Moon figure. Bandai, 1993. And it's got her Sailor Moon R brooch. Let me get that in the camera. So I got that. And then this is a little Von Presto figure of Chibi Sailor Jupiter. She can move her arms. Well, her arm kind of comes in a little bit. Here we go. Sailor Moon 4D is lost media. Well, not necessarily lost as much as it is hidden. Love Sailor Moon plushies. You can never go wrong with any of them. Here's one of my tiniest plushies. Irwin Toys released a set of beanbag Sailor Moon plushies. They did all of the inners and Luna and Artemis. So this Sailor Venus is one of my tiniest plushies. Ain't she cute? I have a couple of them. I wish I could find all of them. Oh, and my friend Lisa sent these a while ago. These are trading cards from the stage plays in Japan. This was from years and years ago. And when you turn them around, they're transformed. So I've got the Starlights, and I got Chibi Chibi, and I got Neptune. So that was pretty cool. I need to show my friend Gary these. He would love these. If you see Scary Gary SG1, I think it is, on YouTube, that's one of my family friends. And he does a lot of Sailor Moon content, too. Sailor Moon hat. But yeah, when I'm not yelling at a computer, I am currently redecorating. So I can make my... Oh, there's... I found where she is. Hold on. My Dollar Tree backpack. Can you believe I got this at Dollar Tree? Backpack full of plushies slipped. There she is. From the 90s. Fess. And here's her Bon Presto tag. And there's the Amazonas Quartet with the inners. Her tag is a little faded, but it's pink. And there's Bon Presto on one side, and then the Supers logo. Yeah, she's so cool. Got a couple of 90s plushies in here. Got Uranus and Neptune. Uranus needs a new gem. I might glue one on. I usually buy these used and then I glue on my own gems. She comes with her sword. And oh, here we go. Also from the 90s. Seri. I need a June next. Isn't she cute? Her tag is in much better condition, so you can really see the pink. Got Super Sailor Moon, which I think I've shown her in a video before, haven't I? She's bendable. Looks different from the Irwin plush. Yeah, that's because they were made by Bon Presto. Irwin sorta took like a little bit of an idea here or there from the Bon Presto ones, but then they kind of did their own thing. This tuxedo mask looks like he's flipping everybody off. This was released for Supers. This is my tuxedo mask. He is so very much representative of me. A seated Chibi Moon. I'm happy that Bandai at least made the Amazonas Quartet back in the day. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Irwin, for as much crap as people give Irwin for their frog face era, Irwin actually did more Sailor Moon villains than Bandai. Because, like, Bandai, they only released dolls of the Amazonas Quartet, and that was it for the villains. Pull-Up, I think they tried to do a little bit better, but not much. Giochi Preziosi out in Italy, they did a lot of Sailor Moon dolls. They did a lot with grown-up Super Sailor Chibi Moon, but not much. And then in Germany, they had a Queen Beryl doll. But Irwin, we had multiple Queen Beryl dolls. We had Professor Tomoe, Keola Knight, Prince Diamande, or Prince Diamond, Esmeralda, Emerald, in different sizes, and then 4 different Black Lady, Wicked Lady dolls. And then before they went bankrupt, they planned on doing a Queen Nehelenia and an Amazonas Quartet set, but they went out of business. But Irwin, I don't think gets nearly enough credit for how much love they gave the villains. And it's really a shame. You know, this is an action series, and you would think there'd be more villains for you to collect because the girls fight the villains. But because it's for girls, they don't release a lot of villain merchandise. Meanwhile, there's Dragon Ball Z figures for characters that are so obscure, only a diehard fan would know about them. You would not know how many funny looks I've gotten because I've mentioned Janemba. Oh boy. So yeah, these are just some of my plushies. I have a bunch more. I should do pictures. I did a video a number of years ago with all of my plushies, but I need to do a new one. I need to think about when. But anywho, I think I'm gonna jump off of here. Let's see. Irwin was revolutionary and ahead of the times for that. I miss Irwin. I do too. Really wish they still existed. They truly respected the action side of Sailor Moon. They did. And they were also the first to make proper action figures with like regular joints. They had their action dolls, of course, but then they also had a short line of action figures. And I have them somewhere behind this camera. I have them in a little bin. They had Super Sailor Moon, Tuxedo Mask, Chibi Moon, Rini, because this is before they officially called her Mini Moon, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And they were regular action figures. They were tiny. They were like 4 inches, but they were like regular action figures with joints and such. And that was like amazing to me as a kid. And I really wish they had more action figure stuff and more action-based stuff for Sailor Moon. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my pretty stuff too, but it's a superhero show. I like having the villains to counterbalance the good guys so that the good guys have something to do. But, you know, I guess that's just me having Power Ranger brain, because I remember when Power Ranger figures had villains too. So, there's that, I guess. But yeah, a different story for a different day. I really do need to get some water though. But thank you all for listening to me vent about HubPages. And thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for keeping me company. I will see you folks soon. Yeah, eventually, if I can find the button. There we go.